Hello everyone, this is the Appery team. We are going to demonstrate various methods for debugging mobile and web applications. We will start by creating a new application. Run a test to see how the application looks. Into Appery Editor, open a screen 1. Add a text component to the screen. Set its value to display the item name. Run the test again and notice that something has gone wrong. The footer appears in the wrong position and the text is not visible. The first step in this kind of situation is to enable the browser's developer console. In the Console tab, we can see the error is caused by trying to access the name property of an undefined object. Clicking the template link reveals which part of the HTML is incorrect. To fix this, open the Code tab and add an item variable with the value and object containing the name test. Run the test again to confirm the text now appears correctly. Consider another example. Add a select component to control the visibility of the text component. Define two options in the select component. The first option should display yes and have a value of 1. The second option should display no and have a value of 0. The selected value will be stored in a variable called flag. To show or hide the text, we will use the if attribute with the value set to flag. We expect that when flag equals 0, the text is hidden, and when it equals 1, the text is visible. Test the behavior to see how it works. By default, the text component is invisible. Select yes and the text appears. Select no, but despite our expectations, the text does not disappear and it remains visible. To understand why our logic failed, we need to inspect the value of the flag variable. Since the mobile screen preview is rendered in an iframe, we need to select that iframe from the dropdown to access its variables. Once selected, we can use the console to type the predefined variable current screen, which refers to the active screen. We observe that the flag variable is a string, not a number, which is why the condition failed to hide the text component. To fix the issue, update the value of the if attribute. Test again to verify that everything works as expected. Select yes and the text appears. Select no and the text disappears. After refreshing the app, the drop-down selection resets and needs to be reselected. This is inconvenient, but there is a better alternative. Click the Remove Frame button and activate the device view by pressing the corresponding button. Here, you can also set the phone's rotation, scale, and model. For the next example, I will add a variable called items with an initial value of an empty array. When the screen loads, we will invoke a REST service and store the response in the items variable. To inspect the value of items, use the current screen variable. At the same time, open the Network tab in the Developer Tools. Filter the request to locate our service call. Select the service to view its JSON response, as well as the URL, headers, and other details. I will remove the item variable. I will also remove the if attribute, add a for attribute, and change the text property to item title. The screen displays the titles from the items array. The most common debugging method is using console log to log application variables, in our case, the items array. In the console, we can see the list of items. Logging is typically used during development and is disabled in production. To achieve this, we can override the console log function. Store the original console log function in a local variable. Inside the new console log, add logic to determine when logs should be shown, for example, if the domain is Appery or if a debug variable is set to true. As you can see, no logs appear now, but if we set debug to true, the items will be logged. Additionally, logs can be saved in storage and sent to the backend in case of an error. I will loop through the items array and capitalize each item title. The code works, but what if we want to step through it line by line? Press Ctrl+P and enter the screen name to open the TypeScript file. In our case, it is screen 1. This is the screen code, where we can set breakpoints on lines we are interested in. After refreshing, the breakpoint will trigger. We can then step through the code and inspect or modify the value of items. We can also step into the loop and observe the local item variable. Alternatively, use the debugger keyword to pause script execution and begin debugging. I will remove the select and text components since we no longer need them. Add a button that invokes a test function when clicked. Remove the init method code as it's no longer necessary. Create a test method that triggers the camera and takes a photo. To display the photo, I will add an image variable. This variable will store the image file path. On the screen, add an image component that is shown only when image is defined, and set its src property to the image variable. During the preview, we encounter an error, but the mobile view cuts off the error message. To view the full error, disable device mode, which will display the complete message. The error says we forgot to enable the camera plugin, so enable it. Run the test again and see that the app now works. To see how the app performs on a real mobile device, open the Appery tester. Scan the app's QR code. Tap the button to take a photo. We expected the image to appear on the screen, but it does not. To debug the app inside the tester, enable the remote debug option in the app settings. Refresh the app in the tester. Then open the provided link. We will see our app is available for remote debugging. To confirm the connection to our specific app, run the alert function in the console. This will trigger an alert inside the Appery tester app. We can now perform the same console operations as we did in preview mode. Type current screen in the console to inspect screen variables. We see the image variable is undefined. Indeed, we forgot to update the code in line 6. Fix the code and run the test again. Take a photo and verify that it appears on the screen. Remember, every time the app refreshes, the remote debugger disconnects. Press Reconnect Developer Tools to reconnect. Refresh the app again and press the Reconnect button once more. Sometimes, the remote debugger may be unavailable. This can happen if the app is built in release mode. In that case, enable the local app debug option instead. After refreshing the app, you will see a new icon that can be repositioned. Tap the icon to access the app source, network activity, and console. In the console, you can type and run code. For example, inspect the value of the current screen variable. You can also run any JavaScript code, for example, alert. Tap the debug icon again to hide the console. Note that if your app uses a custom Cordova plugin, you cannot debug the plugin code in the Appery tester. To simulate this scenario, I will add the custom Cordova plugin dialogs. Download the plugin source code. Add it under the Cordova plugin subtab on the Resources tab. Enable the plugin in the app editor. To debug the app with a custom plugin, use the special build type called Live Debug. To test it, I will build and install the Android app. On the debugger page, refresh the list of available apps. Open the app running in live debug mode. Here, you can run JavaScript code, such as alert. Most importantly, you can also execute custom plugin code. Copy a sample snippet from the plugin documentation. Run it in the console. As you can see, the native Android dialog appears in the app. This method allows you to invoke the code of any Cordova plugin. That is the last thing I wanted to show you. In this video, we explored the most common techniques for debugging applications. If you like our content, do not forget to subscribe to our channel.